Chaos. Blur.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. This is Bobby Gaines, otherwise known as Chaos Blur, here on this beautiful Saturday afternoon. Play some Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Just a simple stream for a simple day. But what's coming up tomorrow is anything but simple. We have Retromania 45 coming tomorrow at 1 p.m. Not just featuring me, but also featuring my friend John Lee, otherwise known as Strapfax. We saw him during the wrestling stream that I did about a month or so ago. We're going to see him again with a new episode of Retromania. I'm actually really super excited for it. Of course, I'm excited for all my Retromanias, but tomorrow's going to be a special one. I'm really excited for it. Hope to see you all there. But in the meantime, we're going to play another type of competitive game. As I mentioned, it is Mario Kart 8. Going to check out, well, all the courses they have in this game, because they have like over 50 now with all the new downloadable tracks. So, again, I'd like to thank everybody for joining me here on the eve of Retromania 45. Of course, that will be the main star of the show once we get around to it. But, yeah, this is Mario Kart 8 going online yet again to see if we can find a worthy opponent. I say half joking because I got my butt kicked last time I tried this. But, yeah. Hope to see some of you all today. Hope you're having a great weekend. We are smack dab in the middle of it. Beautiful sunny day here. Let's see here. I guess I'm going to stick with this cart, even though, no. I don't even remember how I ended up in the last one, like, if I ever turned things around or not. But I digress. Let's have some fun today. That's what it's all about. Well, it's all about getting a communication error before we even get into the match. All right, that's what it's all about. We'll get these bugs out of the way before Retromania tomorrow. But yeah, going to be a great show. Going to have Strapfax there, who's an avid retro gamer himself. Actually went with me to the Retro Expo in Hartford, Connecticut last year during the winter. Wasn't able to connect to the other console. I'm not doing another console. It's an online match. All right, anyway. It's not one thing, it's something else, you know. If it's not... Remember one time I streamed this famously on the day of the new courses, just all the issues I had. Let's hope we're not in for that today. Searching for players, and it's just a bunch of toads floating around like they're at a space station. What's the actual F here? I'm not trying to connect to other consoles. It's not a local game. It's an online. It even says it right there. I thought maybe I did wireless play on mistake or something, but... Alright, well, maybe it's a good thing we don't have anyone in the chat room just yet. Whole stream's just going to be me trying this. There we go. Alright, so we actually have 2 of the new courses on display here. I guess I'll try a little Paris Promenade. Looks like I got here just in time for the vote. It's not Rainbow Road on Super Nintendo, so I'm already happy about that. Ew. Ah, Toad Circuit, man. Still a new course. Probably my least favorite of the new courses. Hey, new courses are new courses. So they say. My new course is thine new course. I don't know what I'm saying. Here we go. Let's go. Toad's floating around. It was just meant to be. You guys can't see me right now, but I'm leaning unusually close into the TV right now. Don't think this is actually giving me an advantage, but hey, third place, I thought I was second. Oh, whatever. Someone must have snuck ahead at the last second, but still not a bad start at all compared to last time. But yeah, I was really leaning into the TV screen. I have no idea why. That's just kind of what I was doing there. Oh yeah, this is the life. Just playing a little Mario Kart, Mario something. Playing Mario something. Oh god, bane of my existence. Rainbow Road. Why do people like this one? It's not even a rainbow. It's flat. A rainbow is curved. It's a flat rainbow. It shouldn't even be considered a rainbow. It's not even in the shape of a rainbow. It's like an oval. Not even an oval. It's like it literally defies both kart racing and rainbows. It gives a bad name to both. I mean, is it multicolored? Yes. That's about the only thing it has in common with an actual rainbow. Is it full of annoying obstacles? You betcha. Alright, it's pretty... Actually, it looks like it's a pretty weighted board in favor of Sky Garden, but let's just hope. Woo! Dangerously close to the Rainbow Road there. So far, we're 2 for 2 in new courses. I'm not saying I prefer the new courses to the old courses. It's more I just kind of get tired of the same old courses again and again, as I mentioned last time. I say that now as I intend to bring back a bunch of retro games tomorrow. Although some of you might have noticed that not every game in Retromania or Retro Request Party is actually a retro game. Some of them are only like a few years old, some of them are whatever, but more on that tomorrow as we see, we'll see, several great multiplayer games from the classic era on down. Because really games were even more multiplayer back in the day, like true multiplayer where you had to be in the same room as the person because they didn't have internet, they didn't have, you know, this wonderful internet server that crashes all the time. You know, you wanted to play Mario Kart with your friends, you had to deal with a 4-way split screen or 2-way split screen, and try to remember where you are and all that. And be in the same room as the people, that was cool. And we're going to relive some of that experience tomorrow. Because my friend John Lee will be there, not just to play the game, but actually be in the same room so we can taunt each other or If it's co-op mode, we can still taunt each other. It's just kind of the way of the gamer, if you will. Gaming being a very friend-based experience at times, even though it doesn't always seem like it with me, because I'm always streaming by myself. But like I said, that will change tomorrow. A little Retromania 45 action. Can't wait to have you there. By you, I mean the generic group of people that I think are watching this right now. Alright, guess I'm not going through that shortcut. That's alright. Who needs you? I seem to do better leaning into the TV. I don't know what the science is behind that, if any. Oh, okay. Oh, really? Alright, well, it's Mario Kart. There is no science. It's just pure, unadulterated madness. God damn, even though I didn't get hit with that bullet bill, they still jetted ahead of me for 10th. That sucked something fierce. Jeez. Alrighty then. Yeah, there goes my good start. Today was good while it lasted, right? Oh, let's keep the good times coming here. I do enjoy Mount Wario. Well, there are no new courses in this selection, so I gotta go with Mount Wario. Mario Kart Stadium, to me, is just the most generic thing. But anyway, I don't mean to mock the courses. I know they did the best they could with them. God bless them. Like, I was going to say, are we going to vote? Are we going to roll the dice here? Random. And it's Sherbert Land from the GameCube game Double Dash. Double Dash. Alright, I have to assume my battle position. Leaning into the screen. See, I didn't do it soon enough. That's why I'm in 10th place now. To be fair, that last maneuver was pretty dumb on my part. He clearly had the rotating banana peels in tow. That's usually bad news for anyone behind. Ooh, ah. God, you know, it's like usually if you're at the bottom of the race, you don't expect to get picked off by a million weapons, because that's kind of the point. Like, if you're, like, toward the top, everybody's flinging shells at each other, and it's pure chaos, but, you know, you're in 10th place, you're not expecting to get pummeled by, like, 3 straight weapons. Like, that shouldn't even be possible. And yet, leave it to me to get pummeled by the underlings in the lower places. Like, I can't even keep up with them. Everybody's got, like, triple shells or freaking banana peels at the ready. Like, it's just ridiculous how prepared everybody is compared to me in this game that honestly just feels like pure luck, but it seems like other people, like, read a manual I somehow didn't in how to, like, be proficient in this. I got 2, like, deadly items behind me. It doesn't matter what place I'm in. I could be in 10th place, I could be in 2nd place. I'm just as likely to get smushed by something. I almost saw that coming. Like, because I'm like, that green shell went off screen, right? And then I'm like, isn't it going to bounce? And it did. It bounced right back into me. Of course, everyone else is just avoiding them like pros. Well, this is why I am not a pro. But I play one on TV. On Twitch.tv. How many freaking bullet bills are in this game? Like, that's supposed to be like a rare item, I thought. My lord. Wow, I actually somehow snuck into freaking 4th place there. That's actually kind of impressive. I take it all back. I take most of it back. The game is only somewhat rigged. But now the game is rigged. We all know it's rigged. Anyone who plays Mario Kart, you know that's part of the deal. Is that you will get ripped off. You will get angry. Not sure why. It's just an acceptable part of the game. Let's see, a little Choco Mountain. Although I like Ribbon Road, too. I like pretty much all of them except for Electrodome. So now we know Electrodome's going to win. Hey-oh. Alright, look at our friends here. The astronauts. The guy with the overly big crown. Clearly compensating for something, but I'm not going to say anything about it. Oh, wait, I just did. Hey, it's Choco Mountain. Yet another new course. I'm enjoying it. Hey, I mean, I paid for them. I may as well play on them. This one's actually pretty good. I've seen some people complain about this one. I think it's pretty cool. I think, you know, adding the falling rocks and everything, which were in the original game, I think it adds some extra danger and also kind of screws you over, but... All kidding aside, though, I'm definitely having more fun with this than last time. I don't know what was going on last time. I was just... I don't know if it was a combination of me not playing well and also just getting frustrated. Like, you know, I'm still going to get my frustrations. Right now, I'm not exactly loving being in 11th place, despite feeling like I've done nothing really wrong, per se. But now, last time I just wasn't feeling it for whatever reason. Today, I'm, you know, at least in a better mood. So whatever happens, I'm not going to be, like, angry about it. I say now. It's always important how you time your jumps. It's one thing that they added to like modern Mario Kart. That I mean, the old games had too. They had hills and jumps and stuff. But like new games, like you got to be really good at timing your jumps, getting those little speed boosts when you can. It's a pretty cool concept actually. So that's why I like the courses that have more hills and little things. Of course, you can always manipulate any of the courses to give yourself a little extra air if you need it, but. Specifically the ones like, you know, the Wario stadiums or even these mountain courses where you have a lot of hills and ramps and stuff, like definitely adds to the challenge of maintaining your momentum and keeping, you know, a fast pace. So even if you get hit like I just did, you can, you know, pick it back up fairly quick. Get a little extra air, a little extra boost of speed as you progress. I don't know. Take these tips as you will. I'm like a career, probably under 500 Mario Kart player, if I'm being honest. Comes the blue spiny. That was actually kind of a thrill. I actually really like the Boo item. I cannot overstate, like, the Boo item I think is, like, sneaky the most powerful item in the game. And you're going to be like, why? All it does is steal an item. It steals an item, but it also makes you basically invincible for, like, sometimes a few seconds, sometimes longer. So, in that moment, like I was just in, where it's like, please don't let me get bombed by something, you can use it defensively to be invincible for a few seconds, and it gets you an item. And it happened to get me a triple mushroom. That to me makes it really cool. It's got two purposes. I don't know. I just really like it. Like even the invincibility star, they kind of nerfed in this game. Now it's still nice to have it if you're in a tight cluster of racers. You can knock them all over. But you know, how often does that really happen? Speaking of things that I hope happen, let's see if Excitebike Arena comes up. That's of course I love because of all the multiple jumps and ramps and stuff. Of course, based on the classic NES game. Hey, what's going on, Randy? Don't sell yourself short. You're pretty incredible yourself. Thanks for tuning in today. on the eve of Retromania 45. Gonna be great. Getting pretty excited about it. Come on, Excitebike. Yes! Oh, it's mirrored. Okay, well, mirrored Excitebike is still Excitebike. How you doing today, Randy? Hopefully you've had some time to be outside on this beautiful Saturday afternoon. It's 68 degrees where I am. Sunny skies all around. Good feelings. A little bit of a preview of summer to come, I'm sure. Yes, I don't necessarily think I'm incredible, but I'll take the praise. Pumped to see you. Oh, thank you. Hope to see you there at 1 o'clock. Going to be playing a lot of old games, 1v1 style. Other twists, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? Yeah, I was just talking about these courses with the jump ramps and all the different, like, crazy jumps you can do. Kind of keep your momentum going. Pretty fun stuff. Even in mirror mode. The mirror mode of Excitebike Arena is still pretty fun because you're still on the same course, just kind of a little different. NFL Blitz, maybe, who knows? Famously dismantled John in the game of that once. I think it was like 212 to 42 or something, I'm not even kidding. Oh, god damn it. Oh, god damn it again. Leaning into the screen, trying to get a defensive advantage here. It's like so hard to build up your speed, but if you lose it, it takes so long to get it back. It's really rewarding when you can build up some momentum, either through jumps or just boosts or whatever. But then, like, you get hit with one item, and it takes you like 30 seconds or so to get your speed even close to back to where it was. And then you get bombed with another item, and you're basically screwed again. Oh, damn it. I had the mushroom, but they had a mushroom too. Almost everybody in front of me had a mushroom, so it ended up being kind of a net zero there. That's a shame. But hey, my first time on Excitebike Arena in quite a while, actually. But you know how that goes. Ooh, I do enjoy Tokyo Blur. Again, I like all these except for the friggin' Thunderdome, which seems, or Electrodome, whatever it's called. This one course seems to recur like all the time. I'm using tilt controls. What a shame. I'm a little nervous. Just reading the comments here. Such wonderful comments they are. Alright, Ribbon Road. I can get behind a little Ribbon Road action. A little Mario Kart 8 Ribbon Road action, if you will. Ah, that was just a poor start on my part. Can I recover? Actually, probably not. Usually in this game, you know, it's supposedly weighted so that if you're not that good at the game, you can still be in it. Apparently that feature's gone, because if you're in 12th place, you're generally probably going to stay there. Not always, but a lot of times. Oh, this course is great for those dynamic jumps I was mentioning, just because, like, the actual course changes shape so many times, so you can really sneak off a lot of them if you're good at it. I've been known to get a few good jumps off now and then. Oh, there's my boo. Love the boo. Ow. No. Let's hear the screams of agony of my opponents. That makes it all worth it in the end. God damn it. Not that that banana peel would have done anything against a superstar. Off race, well, aren't they all? Aren't they all? Ooh, I actually got the benefit of that shortcut. Alright, 6th place. Not the worst, I guess. Considering how I started, I kind of snuck a few places out of there at the end. Not the worst, not the best. Right in the middle, really. So what have you been up to, Randy? What are you doing today? Wow, everybody's picking Paris Promenade. Going to France, oui, oui, s'il vous plaît, merci beaucoup, etc., etc. Nice day out. Yeah, it is. Like I said, you know, I hope hope you've been able to spend some of it outside. Enjoy that great weather. Oh. Alright, well, there was never much mystery there, but it is in fact Paris Promenade, although it is the mirrored version, so I guess that'll be something different to check out. Hey-oh, more right now. See, the game is pitting me against people who are like 1,000 points or more above my skill level. That's also part of it. Like, some of them are near my skill level, but some of them are like way above it. Not that my skill level is really all that great. Hey-oh. Hey, what's up, Dark Sage? What's me? The course where I win and spin out everyone. What's going on, Dark Sage? I know you enjoy suggesting courses and predicting sports outcomes, among other things, so... What's the good word on the street today? Celtics got a big game against the Nets in Brooklyn. Should be a good one. I don't know if they're going to win today. I really don't. I mean, granted, they really probably shouldn't have won the first game, and the second game was just an incredible game altogether, but... You know, I feel like the Nets are due. They got Durant, Kyrie Irving. They're not going to stay quiet forever. Even with the Celtics expecting to get Robert Williams back, I don't know. I mean, the Nets are going to win a game in this series. They might even win 2. I don't know. I think the Celtics win the series, but I think, the Nets are going to give them a problem starting tonight. Big Celtics. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Big Celtics game tonight. Big Retromania tomorrow, though. Hope to see you both there. I'll be here with bells on. Aren't the Jazz in the playoffs? I thought the Jazz were playing... I don't know who they're playing. It's like a lot of teams in the West that, like, are really good, but, like, you kind of forget about them just because you're always hearing about, like, the Suns and the Warriors. But, like, you got, like, the Nuggets, the Jazz. The Grizzlies were good this season, although I guess even the Timberwolves are giving them problems. So, like, there aren't that many, like, pushover teams in the West like there used to be. Like, Dallas is good. There's still some trash teams, but... Most of them are pretty good. Like, there's not really a bad team in the West. It's just that, only one of them can win the conference, and it's probably going to be Phoenix or whatever. Phoenix or who's the other team? Oh, they're playing the Mavericks? See, I was going to say, the Mavericks are pretty good, but that could be a close series. Because outside of Luka Doncic, I don't really know too many of the Mavericks' better players, whereas I feel like Utah has a more complete team. They don't have a player as good as Doncic, but I don't know. I'm not as good at predicting those kind of series. Like, that's probably like a 4-5 matchup or a 3-6 matchup. Or anything can kind of happen in those. Although, funny enough, the Celtics and Nets is a 2-7 matchup, and, you know, neither of those teams is really like a pushover despite the seeding. So it's kind of funny to think, you know, the Celtics get a 7 seed and they have a chance to be knocked out in the first round. Because I still think the Nets have a chance to win the series. I know it's 2-0 Celtics, but we're down 2-1. Well, that's not that bad. I mean, 2-1. You said, like, no comment, like the Jazz were terrible. Like, all right, you're down 2-1. Teams will come back from 2-1 in a series. Happens all the time. Ooh, no new courses. I'll do TikTok clock. All these noobs are going to pick Mario Kart Stadium for some reason. I mean, Red Sox aren't really trash right now. What are they, like 6-7 or something? It's way too early. People in baseball, like, go nuts, you know, because, like, the Mets are, like, 10-3 or whatever they are, and, like, the Red Sox are a game below 500 in, like, 14 games. Like, okay, I don't really think that they're trash because they're below 500 after 14 games in a baseball season. Like, I think their pitching has actually surprised me, and their hitting, I think, is going to be better, but... Yeah, I actually don't. I remember the Utah Jazz were 1 seed a few years ago. I remember they were like really good, and I'm like, how do the Jazz have like the best record in the NBA or one of them? Yeah, you're right about that though. Like they seem to get teams like the Clippers when they were good, or like I don't know. But I mean, when you're in the playoffs, who is a good team to get? Like you know, you're gonna get probably a really good team. Like you might get lucky and get like a lousy 8 seed or something. But for the most part, they're in the playoffs for a reason. You know, Dallas is a good team. Honestly, I don't think Dallas or Utah is going to win the West, no matter who wins that series. But I think it comes down to Phoenix and Golden State. But I could be wrong. Could have the Grizzlies sneak in there or something. You never know. I think the Hawks made it to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. Not a lot of people expected. They snuck in there. The Knicks were good last year, and this year they weren't. So, you know, at the top with basketball, I guess that's the reason why I don't get as into it. Like, there's always, like, 4 or 5 surprise teams that, you know, make it to the playoffs and might even make it far in the playoffs. But at the end of the day, it's, like, almost always the Golden States or, you know, there's always, like, 1 or 2 teams that are going to be at the top. And then there's, you know, the other teams. Like, you know, sometimes there'll be a different one. But, you know, basketball, it doesn't really matter. You know, like, if you're the Knicks and you have, like, a good season one year, it's like, okay, great. But you're still probably no closer to winning the championship than, like, the Mavericks or the Sixers, you know. And the Sixers actually are pretty close to winning a title, but I just think it's a bad time for them. I think there's just too many good teams in the league right now. You know, sometimes where like a team like the Sixers would probably be like the best team. Even look at the Heat. I think the Heat are kind of like the Jazz, and that you know the Heat have a really good record, but you know they got Jimmy Butler. I don't know some other people like they're a good team, and the Heat actually made it to the finals a couple years ago. That was a surprise. But that was also in the bubble, kind of wonky season. But so like I feel like the Heat are like the Jazz, in that they don't have like a bona fide number 1, but they're still a good altogether team. Celtics will beat. See, I didn't think the Celtics would lose to Miami in 2020, so I guess I shouldn't talk. I don't fear the Heat. Like the Bucks, absolutely. The Bucks are the defending champions. The Bucks have Giannis. The Bucks play great defense. The Bucks, you know, there's a lot going for the Bucks. You know, as many games as the Celtics won, the Bucks were like right there, winning as many, if not more, during most of the season. So, you know, the Bucks are definitely a threat. But the Heat, I just don't see. Like, the Heat will be a tough team. I'm not saying they won't be, but I could see the Celtics beating the Heat in a series. If the Heat even make it out of, I don't know what has to happen. I don't know the playoff seeding. I know the Heat were the 1 seed, so I think the Celtics are going to play the winner of the Milwaukee series? I don't know. Well, yeah, the Heat won when they had LeBron James and, you know, that super team or whatever. And they also won before that with Dwayne Wade and Shaq. But, ooh, it's a tough choice. I'm going to go random. I can't make up my mind. That is true. The Jazz have not won an NBA title. Yet. The key there is yet. You will. One of these days when you least expect it. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not an expert on these things. Well, what are these two people with the white hair and black suits? They're on a team. Like all these new people come in, they pick Ribbon Road because they weren't playing in the match from 3 matches ago where we just did Ribbon Road. Well, the Jazz also, speaking of teams you don't want to go up against, the Jazz had the misfortune of going against Michael Jordan in the finals. Otherwise, they probably would have won. Like, you want to talk about a super team. I mean, no one was beating the Bulls in the 90s. As a fan of wants, I do believe the West will be Jazz and Suns. Or Jazz. Really? You think the Jazz are going to make it that? I mean, maybe. Like I said, I don't know enough about the West. I only know, like, the top teams. I know some teams were really good, and then whatever. I don't know. I mean, I kind of hope you're right. Because I mean, even though the Warriors have had a couple quote-unquote down seasons where they haven't been, like, championship contenders, I'm kind of tired of the Warriors, even though they haven't been to the finals in a few years. But, like, you know, if it was the Warriors again, if they somehow put it back together and, you know, they're in the finals or in the Eastern Conference or Western Conference finals again, it wouldn't like annoy me, but it would just be kind of like, you know, I've seen this movie before. Like, I'm kind of rooting for Phoenix, you know, because Phoenix was a big surprise last year. Chris Paul, you know, seems like he never ages. Like, he's been on so many teams and helped them win, but he's never won a championship. Like, I'd kind of like to see the Suns kind of avenge their loss from last year to the Bucks. You know, I think it could be the Celtics and the Suns in the finals, to be honest, but we'll see. Not to let my fan bias show. And I did not think I'd be saying that. Like, I thought the Celtics were pretty much, for most of the season, I thought the Celtics were going to be what they were last year, just an okay team that was out in the first round, but obviously they've surpassed that expectation with how they played in the second half, and we'll see if it carries over. So far, it seems to have. Jeez, confusing turn of events there. Yeah, I'm not, like, rooting against the Warriors, but I mean, like, they had their time. They won, like, what, 4 out of 5 titles or whatever it was. Like, they, you know, they've had plenty of success. They'll be remembered as, like, a dynasty and all that. And obviously they're still competitive, but, like, I don't know if I don't want to see another Warriors finals. Like, there's been too many of them in the last, like, 10 years. Like, it's just been a lot of freaking Warriors. I like Steph Curry, and I like what they're doing down there, but, you know, and then on top of that, they had, like, that lousy year a couple of years ago because Steph Curry was out, and they lost so many games. They ended up getting, like, good players in the draft, so now it's like they're set up for, like, another 5 or 6 years. So, like, the Warriors aren't going to go anywhere, even if they're not championship team, they're still going to be good for the next, like, 5-10 years, however long, maybe. So, you know, if they don't make it to the finals this year, I'm not going to cry, like, for the Warriors, that is. Eventually, it's going to be 1 year. We are like the Blues in hockey. Yeah, that is kind of it. There is always that team. Actually, it's kind of like the Braves in baseball. The Braves had a lot of good teams, both in the 90s and, like, kind of the more recent years, but you never thought they were going to make it to the World Series. You never thought they'd win the World Series. They always seem to be just kind of there. And then last year they win the World Series despite not really having a great team. Like, that didn't feel like the best Braves team we've ever seen, but they won the World Series last year, and that's kind of how it goes sometimes. Like, you know, the Jazz might have a really good team this year, but they might not win. And then, you know, a few years down the line, they might have not as good a team, but they might win. It's just kind of... NHL is crazy, though. Like, it was the same thing with the Capitals in the NHL. Like, the Capitals were always, like, the 1 seed, and they never won. And then finally they won against Vegas a few years ago. But yeah, that's a good analogy, actually. There are a lot of teams like that. It's almost like it just balances out at some point. You get enough cracks at it, you're bound to hit it once or twice, maybe. Not everyone can be like a dynasty type of team that wins it 3 or 4 years in a row. I've actually never had my teams do that. I guess that would be kind of cool to see, but I feel like I get tired of it. Like, I've never been a fan of a team. Like, it just hasn't worked out that way. Like, where I was a fan of, like, say the Warriors, and they go to the finals every year. Like, I don't know. Would I like that, or would I get kind of tired of it? Would I be like, okay, we're going to win the title again? Like, I guess it would be okay, but like if the Celtics started winning like 3 or 4 titles in a row, but like I've just never seen it. You know, when I see my team win a championship, it's like a maybe like once in 5, once in 10 year thing, and I kind of expect that. Like, I'm not expecting them to win a title every year. just because that doesn't happen. Like, generally, even the best teams don't win a title, maybe more than once a decade or so. God damn, how did this race get out of my hands? It's one of those courses that's like really tight, so like every item in the book fits you. Your Celtics. I do enjoy my Celtics. I own the Celtics, and I'm here on a very small Twitch channel. Yeah, everybody talks about that like it's an accomplishment, and I get it, I guess. Like, I thought it was cool the first time they did it because they weren't expected to go that far. I'm like, oh, they made it to, like, you know, the third round of the playoffs. They made it to almost the end. And they did it again, and then they did it again, and then I'm like, okay, well, you know, that's nice. It looks good on your resume, I guess, but, you know, 10 years from now, they're not going to be like, hey, Jason Tatum's been to 5 NBA Eastern Conference Finals. Like, that's not really going to matter. Like, Giannis will have at least one title, if not more, by then. And, you know, just to me, I don't really get excited about making a round of the playoffs unless my team is bad for a while and, you know, it's just something to hang my hat on. But I think we're past the, you know, Celtics won a playoff game phase. You know, that was a nice phase while it lasted, but it's kind of like, all right, time to get moving here. You know, like we've already gotten that thrill out of our system. Now let's go to the next round. Let's be a finals contender. Let's win a finals. Let's do something. Like, honestly, they should have made at least one finals in the last 5 years. They should have made the one with Cleveland where they went to Game 7 at the Garden and they almost won and they lost at the end. They should have made that one. And then to me, the one that still sticks out is the freaking bubble against the Heat. I'm sorry. They played like garbage in that series. And I just, that still boggles my mind how bad the Celtics were in that series. I mean, not saying they should have crushed the Heat, but that should have been a much closer series. And the Celtics just got embarrassed against the Miami Heat. And that's one. They should have made that finals. They would have lost to the Lakers because the Lakers had LeBron and Anthony Davis both healthy that year. But they should have made the finals. It should have been a Celtics-Lakers finals at the very least. But didn't happen. You know, it didn't happen against Cleveland. And a couple times, though, the first time they made it against Cleveland, I didn't think they were going to win. They got blown out. That was to be expected. But, you know, the consolation prize to me is over. Like, you know, and I like that kind of positive outlook. I like, hey, at least we made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. But that only lasts for so long before you go, okay, well, if you're good enough to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, you should be able to win one. Kind of like the Indiana Pacers for a while. They'd make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, and then they'd get waxed by the Heat or something. It's so anticlimactic in the NBA. Like, you know, obviously, you know your team can't go all the way every year, but it's just anticlimactic when it always ends in, you know, the second round, the third round. You know, either way it ends, whether it ends before the finals or in the finals. So I want to see them make a finals. That's my new thing. And if they make a finals and they lose, then at least they made the finals. At least I got to see that. Because they haven't been to a final since 2010 against the Lakers. Arguably should have won that series, but yeah. So, I mean, I can't get excited about getting to the same level they've been at since 2017. It wasn't, I don't think it was 5 years in a row. I think they missed one. Yeah, they missed the one with, actually, ironically, when they had Kyrie Irving. The year before that, without Kyrie, they made it to the finals, the conference finals, without Kyrie against LeBron and the Lakers. Not the Lakers, the Cavs. And then the next year they missed. They lost in the second round to the Bucks with Kyrie. They had healthy Kyrie Irving, healthy Tatum and Brown, and they lost. So go figure that one out. But that's basketball for you. That's why I thought this year's Celtics team, I thought was weaker than the ones before. Like, I figured, you know, other than Tatum and Brown, you know, basically the same team, you know, like in terms of role players. Like, I'm like, all right, well, they didn't do much last year. Why are they going to do anything this year? They got Al Horford, who you know, I thought was okay his first time with Boston, but he's much better this time. And, you know, for whatever reason, now it's working without, you know, basically the same roster. Maybe this is the year. I don't know. Oh, that's going to leave a mark. See what I mean, though, in this game? There is no safe place to be. I could be in last place. I could be in sixth place. I'm just going to get bombarded with Mindless items bludgeoned again and again. Doesn't even matter. God damn, I'm just in a bad spot here. This game, like, I don't know what. Like, sometimes you can get hit with an item and you can kind of recover. Like, if you get hit during a curve or something and there's, like, a boost pad right there, you can kind of, like, bounce back from it. But, like, where I was, like, wedged against a wall. I was not going to get out of that. I don't care, like, what happened. Yeah, I'm in 10th place. It's not even close. I think our issue is we have the misfortune of playing against dynasties when we were good with Spurs. Oh, the Spurs, that's right. Yeah, the Western Conference always seems better than the East. I don't know why. And there are good teams in the East. It's taken a while, but there's like now maybe 4 or 5 really good teams in the East. For a while, it used to be like one good team in the East. It used to be either like the Heat, you know, the Cavs for a while. Basically, whatever team LeBron was on. Like that was your East dynasty, so to speak. And then there'd be like one other team that might be okay. The Wizards had a little run, but Toronto had a good year, but to me, if I'm the Jazz or any team looking to, like, break through, like, say, the Nuggets or something, like, I would look at Toronto. Because Toronto, for years, the Raptors were, like, a decent team that just never went anywhere. Then they went for broke and got Kawhi Leonard for, like, basically 1 year, knowing he was probably going to leave, and they won a title. So it was, like, the same team, but they added a superstar. Like, I don't know how you do that now. I don't know, like, you know, Kevin Durant's probably not available, but, like, that's the kind of avenue you have to take, unfortunately. You know, like, it's a nice story to build a team. And, hey, got to sit back again. It's a nice story to build a team, but really the teams that win are the teams that just poach the best players. So, you know, if you can get, like, Steph Curry on the Jazz for, like, a year, you know, like, I know it sounds stupid, but, like, that seems to be how those other teams break through once in a while, like your Toronto Raptors or whoever. Like, you just have to, like, you can either get lucky in the draft or you just kind of, you know, go for it and get, like, a LeBron James or something. Basically, you know, sell out for like a year or two. You know, now the Raptors kind of suck, but, you know, they won a title in 2019. Like, would you take it? I mean, I kind of would. People were talking about the Celtics getting Kawhi Leonard, and they're like, well, would you trade Tatum or Brown for Kawhi Leonard, knowing you probably wouldn't keep it? And I'm like, well, if I win a championship, yeah, probably. But, you know, obviously can't go back now. Now, I like where the Celtics are, but, you know, if they just keep making the playoffs every year, it's not really going to mean a lot to me in 5 or 10 years to go, well, we made the playoffs a bunch of times. I would rather they just blow it up, get a couple of superstars, and win a title or two, like they kind of did with Pierce and Garnett. Like, everybody knew the Pierce and Garnett thing wasn't going to last, but they got a title out of it. They almost got 2. And then they had to rebuild, but it wasn't really that bad. Like, I don't know. That's just my take on it. Give me the sure thing over the long wait. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's what I mean. That's true. You got Harden and Embiid and Philly. Like, you have to do that. Like, there's just not. I mean, look what the Nets tried to do, and they didn't win a title with that, at least not yet. But, you know, they got Kyrie and Durant. They added Harden. Like, you know, you just kind of have to do it. Like, yeah, the Nets actually made a couple dumb trades. I mean, the first trade was really dumb. I mean, I'm a Celtics fan, but they gave up a ton for Pierce and Garnett, thinking they were actually going to be title contenders with the Heat. But whatever. You know, the Nets do it all the time. They make ridiculous trades to win a title now or whatever. But that's kind of what you have to do. I mean, again, unless you get lucky. Like, I'm not going to say that the Warriors got lucky, but the Warriors drafted, you know, 3 really good players. Actually, I don't know if they drafted Klay Thompson, but I know they did Durant and Draymond Green. Now, how am I in 11th place? Really? The whole 3/4 of this game is, like, meaningless after stuff like this happens. Ooh, I snuck ahead of one person to finish in 10th. Now, see, Harden, that's an interesting one. Harden, at this point in his career, I don't think he makes you, like, an instant contender. Like, if you had somebody else, but, like, to me, if you had Embiid, yes, Embiid's got long-term, like, I mean, and short-term, but he's got a really good shelf life, Embiid, but Harden, to me, is like somebody you bring into, like, the Lakers or, like, you know, a team that's, like, trying to win now. Like, you know, I think the Jazz, they still have a young core. I don't think Harden makes them that much better where they'd win a title. Like, I mean, if they win a title, I don't think it's going to be because of Harden. Snyder, he's not. So most of our players are young. But yeah. I do enjoy Brad Stevens, even though I know, he didn't win a title with the Celtics, and now he's the GM, which just doesn't really make any sense to me. But I think Brad Stevens absolutely got the most out of the Celtics when they weren't, huge contenders. And ironically, when they got better players, that's when Stevens wasn't as good at maximizing them. But yeah, I loved Stevens as a coach, and I still think he'd be a good coach somewhere. I don't know if he wants to stay as the GM of the Celtics. He's obviously doing a good job this year, but I didn't even though I was mad at the Celtics and the way they did in the playoffs, I didn't necessarily think they should have gotten rid of Brad as the coach. I know they kept him on as the GM, but I still think it's super weird. I've never seen that before, where the coach loses their job but they become the GM. Well, we don't want you to coach the team, but you can go ahead and pick the players. Like, it's just so weird. Like, I sometimes wonder if he actually does some coaching, like, behind the scenes. I mean, everybody knows him. Like, he's been on the Celtics for, like, 7-8 years now as a coach and now a GM. Whatever. I mean, I kind of feel bad for Stevens, because I think he was on the course to becoming one of the best coaches in the NBA, whether it was with the Celtics or somebody else. Like, I think he was that good at one time, and maybe he goes back to being a coach, but, like, for the moment, yeah, he might be the GM of a championship Celtics team, but that doesn't really have as much weight as the coach of the team, Like, I feel like Stevens spent so long building that team to this point as the coach, putting up with, mediocrity and then getting them to the playoffs. And then if they actually do break through, it's not going to be him. It's going to be Ime Udoka being the coach. I mean, yeah, he's still a part of it, but that's got to kind of sting, Like, you spend all that time building something and you don't get to be part of the ultimate result. I mean, I guess he's still part of it. Yeah, I would be, actually. Those are two teams that are both kind of like, I don't want to say borderline championship contenders, but they're both, like, really good, but they're not, like, the first team you think of when you think of who's going to win the title. That was kind of like last year's finals. Milwaukee and Phoenix really didn't do well outside of those areas. Like, people weren't really interested in that finals, even though I kind of liked it. I like seeing different teams, and I like seeing Chris Paul, even though he didn't win, but I like getting to see him go to the finals. How do I get out of 10th place? That would be an interesting matchup for me if I get out of 10th place. Holy crap. If this was the NBA, I'd have to go into the tournament, the play-in tournament, just to make the playoffs. The NBA just has too many rounds of playoffs, too. You got to play in tournament before you can even make the first round. Then you go to the first round. It's a 7-game series, second round, third round, finals. Like, it's just so many things can go wrong in that time. Like, compared to, like, all the sports are kind of expanded now. Remember, it used to be like maybe 1 or 2 rounds before the finals. Now it's like 3 rounds minimum plus some kind of play-in. It's like, I guess when you win that championship, you really earn it. Have a chance to play like 28 games, depending on how many games the series go. Wow, a lot of people picking this Donkey Kong Country course. All right, well, good on you, I guess. I do like that Mario Kart occasionally pays homage to Nintendo's other franchises. I think you could beat the Mavericks. Like I said, I think, Mavericks and Jazz are pretty evenly matched, but outside of Doncic, no one really scares me on the Mavericks. And Donkey Kong it is. I guess I'm not really surprised. I think this Donkey Kong course is either from, it tells you right there, it's from the 3DS game. I was going to say, I thought it was from Donkey Kong DS, but apparently it's from Mario Kart 7. What am I saying right now? Nothing much of interest. Royals, Bobby Witt, I never even heard of that guy. I mean, not that much pressure when the Royals aren't really expected to finish higher than, like, 4th place. Right now, your goal should be to beat the Detroit Tigers. Oh, Jackie Bradley Jr. Well, Jackie Bradley Jr. has never been with the Royals, and I don't think he's expected to lead the Red Sox. He's just kind of there for some reason. I have no idea why they traded Hunter Renfroe. I have no idea why I drove into that bomb. You know, every time I diss Jackie Bradley Jr., though, he ends up doing something. Like in 2018, I'm like, why is he in the lineup? He's a liability or whatever. And then he hit like all those home runs against Houston in the ALCS. So like, I can't really, you know, he's not a great hitter by any means, but you know, he does come through in some big moments, which I guess at the end of the day, that's what really matters. Yeah, his average might be like 200, but that one hit and 5 chances came in the playoffs. However, you do have Andrew Benintendi, who's a former Red Sox. No idea why either team made that deal. I'm like, all right, I guess the Red Sox gave up on Benintendi, and I guess the Royals just had to have him. Did I just go from... I just went from, like, 3rd to 11th place in, like, one move. That is Mario Party, or Mario Kart, in a nutshell. Oh, God, I almost went over the edge. Actually, I probably should have gone over the edge there. God damn it. Now it's pretty weak. Usually that'll be they won't choose any. Bullpen is like always shaky though, like, but you know, you look at the Yankees, like that's a team that I guess has a good bullpen. Like you look at teams that have really good bullpens, they don't really win either. Like other than I know the Royals when they had the World Series run, they had like an amazing bullpen, but other than that, like teams with good bullpens generally don't win unless they have good starting pitching. Like you kind of need all of it. You know, whereas like a bad bullpen's not great, but you can get away with it. Honestly, I mean, from the Red Sox this year, I see kind of the same thing as last year. They like, I didn't even know Kimbrel was still like available. I thought he was with the Cubs or the White Sox. He seems to jump between those Chicago teams. Things must be pretty bad for Kimbrel if he's looking for a job in Kansas City. No offense. I liked Kimbrel. Like, I was a big fan of getting him for the Red Sox. But that's what I mean about bullpens. Like, they're so, like, you know, a bullpen with Kimbrel years ago would have been, like, a great thing. Like, Kimbrel was one of the most dominant relievers in baseball. And then a few years later, you're going, like, oh, God, I don't want that guy. So it's like, yeah, this year's good bullpen is going to be next year's terrible bullpen and vice versa. Like, you just don't know what's going to happen. You know, look at Matt Barnes. Like, Matt Barnes last year for the Red Sox was like a dominant closer for like half the season, and then he couldn't figure out how to throw a strike after that, and he still hasn't really gotten any better. So, you know, they might have the answer on the team, they might not. I don't know, in terms of the bullpen. I don't know. I'm like the most indifferent to the Red Sox. I'm like, they'll probably win their 90 games, they'll probably make like a wild card or something. And then we'll see how far they go from there. I just don't really care for, like, last year's whole, like, oh, look at how good we are thing. When, like, yeah, okay, they made it further than I thought, but they also kind of, like, laid an egg for the last 2 months of the season. I can't really get excited about that. And then, like you said, they don't really do anything in the offseason to get me excited. I mean, they do add Story, which at least gave me a reason to be like, okay, they at least remember they have a baseball team, because before that, I'm like, why aren't we doing anything? Like, they were 2 games out from the World Series, and they've done nothing to make up that distance with Houston and the other teams. They just kind of like, we're like, oh, Chris Sale will be fine, and we won't add anybody else, but I mean, not like Tim Wakefield was all that dominant. Yeah, I like Rich Hill, though. Like, that's a decent ad, but yeah, he shouldn't be the reason why you're in contention. Same thing with, like, Michael Wacha, some of the other players they have as far as starters, where they're there to fill a gap basically. And that's the problem with the team is that their rotation is basically like 5 number 3 starters, or if you want to say Evaldi's like a 2, like they have like 5 decent starting pitchers. Oh, you gotta be kidding me right now. Oh, no, I got second. God damn it. Rich Hill's 42. Not that anyone expects him to be. But yeah, that's what it is. The Red Sox have like 5 number 3 pitchers. They don't have an ace. They have Chris Sale, who when he's on, obviously he's an ace. But Chris Sale hasn't been on in a long time. Like even before he got injured. 2019 he was not good. He played most of the season in 2019. I think he had like a 4 ERA. I don't even think he played in 2020. Last year Sale was okay. Like, I don't know. It's been a long time since I've seen Sale be Sale. And we're all expecting he's going to come back this time and have like a 1 ERA or something. I mean, I hope he does, because he was very entertaining to watch in 2017 and some in 2018. But I would say it's been since 2018 where Chris Sale felt like the dominant pitcher. And that's like the summer of 2018, because by the playoffs he was kind of shot. For whatever reason. Maybe it was injury, maybe, I don't know. Let's go, Mario. Random Sky Garden again. God, even I'm getting a little tired of Sky Garden. But hey, Sky Garden, I guess, is what it's going to be. And I guess we're going to Sky Garden it up. Yeah, it does seem like John Henry doesn't care about the Red Sox. Because he's not usually the one running the show. Like, he's just kind of there, They've had, like, 3 or 4 different GM type of styles. Like, the long approach compared to the Dave Dombrowski kind of, trade the farm to get the best players type of thing, which honestly I'm kind of more for. If you remember my thoughts about the NBA, I kind of feel the same way in baseball. Like, just get the best players you can and worry about tomorrow. But, then they got... they turned it over to Heim Bloom or whoever. They traded Mookie Betts, which I thought was kind of a stupid thing, but whatever. As far as I can tell, they haven't got anything great for him. I know Verdugo is a decent player, but, the other prospects, Peter Downs or whoever, I don't think they're turning into anything, but I could be wrong. Maybe in a few years that trade looks good, but the thing with the Red Sox, I feel like the Red Sox is just a good product. Like, I feel like it's one of those things that's just hard to mess up, but they still find a way to mess it up. But, like, in general, I know they had a few bad years, but you're not going to see, like, a terrible Red Sox team. Like when you say mediocre, yeah, they're going to be, like, maybe, like, an 85-win team or something. But, like, you're starting with a team that's pretty good. Like, I'm not going to say great, but, like, with the Red Sox, there's usually at least a few good players. There's usually a few good pitchers. And all you have to do is sustain that and then add something to it. And they find a way to mess that up. They find a way to make that worse somehow. They're like the Yankees, but not as good. The Yankees also always have a few star players. But the difference is, the Yankees are more aggressive and they go for who they need. The Red Sox, some years they'll go for who they need, and other years they'll go, well, I don't know. So, like I said, the Red Sox are kind of hard to mess up, but they're also not doing the most to get the most out of them. Like, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe this year in the trade deadline, if they're in the hunt, they'll do something. But it seems like more often than not, they're like, we're good. It's like they just kind of roll the dice, and, if they're good, they're good. If they're not, they're not. Like, they don't really care. And I don't think it's a matter of Boston fans putting up with it, because I mean, I'm not like putting up with it. Like I'm pretty mad. I want him to do stuff, but like, what are we supposed to do? Like, a lot of Red Sox fans are mad they let John Lester go. Like, there's a lot of things the management has done that's been really stupid. You know, they still won a few World Series, but I don't know. Well, we do. You could have had a decade dynasty. I mean, I'm not gonna, you know, quibble about the fact that we didn't win every World Series between 2004 and 2018. I mean, they won 2 in 4 years, 2004 and 2007. I mean, they were still good for like 08, 09. Like, I mean, you're not going to win every year. Look at the Yankees. Like, the Yankees have had a lot of great teams. They've only won 1 World Series in the last like 20 years, despite having generally one of the top hitters in baseball usually, and one of, you know, their pitching is not as good. But my point being, like, you know, the best run organizations don't win more than a couple World Series maybe every couple years. You know, the Giants had a run, the San Francisco Giants, where they won a few World Series in 5 years. Like, you generally don't see dynasties in baseball anymore. You know, it used to be the Yankees in the 90s and some other teams, but I don't know. Like, I'm not going to complain about the last, you know, yeah, they shouldn't have had 3 really lousy years between 2012 and 2015. Like, they had some terrible teams, and that shouldn't have happened. But, you know, am I going to sit here and go, oh, they only won, you know, 1 World Series between 2008 and 2013? Like, no, that's fine. Like, yeah, I want them to win it as often as possible, but, you know, whatever, I guess. I think last year was a missed opportunity, honestly. As much as I give that team crap, like, I think they actually could have achieved more. And that's why I kind of didn't like that they were just kind of were like, oh, look at how good we are. It's like, yeah, but you could have been better. And you just decided to let the team just kind of do what it was going to do and be in a position where you had to win, like, every game for the rest of the season just to make the playoffs. And then, you know, yeah, they made the most of it. They got to the ALCS, but I don't know. Again, that's just, I think last year, I think 2016 actually, which is a random one to reference, but I think 2016 could have been a World Series team. That team had a great offense. It was David Ortiz's last year, and he had like a great year. They had pretty good pitching. It wasn't amazing. They had Kimbrel when he was actually good. They had David Price, who had a pretty decent season. That team disappointed me a little bit. And I don't really know who to blame there. Maybe they should have gotten like another pitcher at the deadline or something, but I do feel like the 2016 team could have been better. But other than that, I mean, there's been very few years where I'm like, you know, that's a World Series that got away. Like, last year might have been one when you look at how they ended up. You know, you made it to the ALCS. You mean to tell me if you got like Anthony Rizzo or someone at the trade deadline, you might not have made it to the World Series and even won the World Series? I don't know. We'll never know. But, you know, they chose to go Kyle Schwarber, which is kind of a bargain option, and Schwarber came through in the playoffs at times. I'm not going to sit here and say he was a bum. The Yankees, we lost to them 3 times in the ALCS. You say that like you were there, like you were watching all those in the 70s. Yeah, I said that. The 2012 team sucked. The 2012, 14, and 15 teams were all awful. And then the 2013 team, of course, won the World Series. But, yeah, 2012 team, which to me makes no sense, to be honest. I know people want to blame Bobby Valentine on that, but I mean, like, the 2011 team was supposedly stacked. They had that big collapse, and then the same players the next year suck. And then in 2013, they're a World Series team. Like, it makes no sense because the majority, if you look at the 2011, 12, and 13 Red Sox, the rosters were largely the same. Like, they brought in a few role players in 2013, but, like, you had Pedroia, you had Youkilis, you had Ortiz, you had the usual cast. They had Adrian Gonzalez in 11 and 12. They had, you know, whoever. They had a good pitching staff, not great, but good pitching staff. In all 3 of those years, and they won 90 games, like, 70 games and then like 97 games in those 3 years. That makes no sense. Like, that's just too much variance considering the talent they had. Like, how did the talent get better or get worse? It's like, oh, we didn't feel like playing baseball today. Like, that's honestly what it felt like. It felt like the 2011 team just quit. The 2012 team just didn't want to play. And the 2013 team was like, okay, let's go all in. Like, let's go all in just because. Like, that's it. Bobby Valentine did nothing wrong, and they just wanted to give him the middle finger, basically. It was like, we're pissed because we like Francona, and we don't like this new guy, so we're just going to kind of half-ass it all year. Like, that was it. That was their attitude all year. Dustin Pedroia even said it. He's like, oh, we don't do things like that here, you know? And I like Pedroia at times, but, like, he kind of came up a lot of times as just kind of like a big talker, but not a big doer. But anyway. Yeah, the 2012 team, I actually don't like at all, not because of their record, but just because I feel like they just didn't give a damn. They were just like, all right, let's just get this over with. You know, Bobby Valentine tried to get the most out of them, but they were like, they didn't want to have it. And you know what the proof of that is? The next year, John Farrell came, and he's no amazing manager, but John Farrell came. They're like, okay, let's try now, because you're not Bobby Valentine. So we're going to, you know, listen to everything you say. We're going to put in the time and effort. We're going to have a good pitching staff. We're going to do everything right. You know, all the players that sucked in 2012, like John Lackey and everybody, they figured it out all of a sudden, and they had a great season. So it's like, you mean to tell me that that team in 2012 couldn't have at least come close to the 2013 team, won 90 games? Like, no. Like, it was literally, it was just a petty revenge thing. That's all it was. And I still stand by that. They could have brought in Joe Torre as the manager. They could have brought in anyone as the manager that year, and they would have been like, we're not going to play for this dope. You know, we're mad. Rah, 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 rah. Like, they're just a bunch of immature brats. Bobby Valentine still gets a bad name to this day for being like one of the worst managers in like Red Sox history. It's like, well, what was he going to do? They already gave up on him before the season even started. Their best players like were sitting out games. Like, they just didn't care. Like, he can't make them play the games, you know? Like, no one blames the players on that entire debacle. They blame Terry Francona and Bobby Valentine. I mean, there was a time, like, Francona getting fired would, like, never happen. Like, I mean, I'm not a huge Francona guy, but, like, you know, he got him to the playoffs, like, every year he was there from 2004 to 2013. Man, Prescott, all we do is throw garbage up to bat. We counted you out, so now you're going to do something. That was so stupid. The last year's rally cry that everybody counted them out, nobody counted them out. They sucked. Like, they were good for half the season, and everybody gave them credit when the Red Sox were good. They had one of the best records into, like, July. No one was going, oh, man, the Red Sox shouldn't be this good. But you know when they started counting them out? When they sucked. When they were in August, giving up runs left and right, and basically giving away the division and not making a real case at the trade deadline, that's when we counted them out, because they sucked. And then they whimper into the playoffs by beating the Nationals. They're like, oh, you all counted us out. Yeah, because you sucked. Like, that's why we counted you out. We didn't count you out when you were good. I think that's so asinine. Like, it's not like they rallied to make the playoffs. It's not like they were under 500 and they won like 20 games in a row. They were well above 500. They lost a bunch of games, and then they barely beat the Orioles and the Nationals. So they're like, whoa, we showed you. It's like, no, you dug yourself into a hole and then barely pulled yourself out. And I mean barely. Like, both those games against the Nationals were really close. And the Nationals had nothing to play for. The Nationals were out of the playoffs a long time ago, and they didn't care. And you still almost blew it. So I don't want to hear we counted you out. Like, you counted yourselves out, and then you counted yourselves back in. That's what I saw. Like, and I like that narrative, to be honest. I like the whole, like, oh, you know, we're underdogs. Let's you know, show them what we're made of. I like that when it works. I don't like teams that are whiny bitches being like, oh, you counted us out when nobody's counting you out. That's just stupid. It's a stupid narrative. That was the wrong team to say that for. If you want to say the 2013 team, maybe. But, see, that team actually had enough class to not say that. That team just went about their business. Like, the 2013 team, really nobody expected anything from them because 2012 was such a train wreck. And, you know, so when they won their 97 games, you could say a lot of people didn't expect that, but they weren't going, oh, everybody counted us out. Like, no, they were too busy winning the goddamn World Series. Like, I just hate when mediocre teams want to throw that out as, like, a reason to, like, be proud of their accomplishments. It's like, yeah, okay, I guess. It's like that little kid that finishes, like, second in the race, and he's like, oh, you all counted me out, but, you know, I didn't finish in fourth, I finished in second. It's like, okay, that's great. Like, you still lost. I wouldn't last very long as any kind of manager in any sport. Because I would be like, as soon as something went wrong, I'd be like, what's wrong with you idiots? Like, I'd have, like, no patience. Oh, Why'd you have to bring up 2008? I actually think, and I might be in the minority here, I thought the 2008 team was better than the 2017. That was a loaded team. I love the 2008 Red Sox. And they started kind of bad, actually. If they hadn't started so bad, they probably would have had a better record than the Rays. But they were really good that year. The problem with the 2007 Red Sox, and I don't want to say problem because they won the World Series, but like the 2007 Red Sox, in all fairness, didn't really have to beat anybody. Like the 2007 baseball season in general, there were no really great teams. Like the Indians were pretty good that year. The Diamondbacks had the best record in the National League with 90 wins. Like the Rockies made the World Series. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, the 2017 was good, but they didn't have to beat anybody. The 2008 team had to deal with, like, the Yankees were better that year. The Rays were really good that year. That was the first year they really started being good with, you know, I don't think David Price had really come out yet, but the 2008 team had to actually deal with some teams, and they were still beating them. They had a great bullpen. They had a great lineup. 2008 was Dustin Pedroia's MVP year. Big Papi had a good year. Like everybody was great on that team. And then actually they ended up trading Manny Ramirez, but Jason Bay was pretty good in that short time he was with the Red Sox. So I mean that 2008 team definitely should have gotten to the World Series. I think they would have beaten the Phillies, but yeah, I mean that was Game 7. They were also down 3-1 in that series, though. So it's not like, you know, they were killing the Rays. Like they were losing to the Rays in that series, and they pushed it to 7 games to their credit. You know, not every comeback's going to work. You know, they've come back from 3-0 in a series. They came back from 3-1 in the series. You know, and you're not always going to come back and win the series. And it was in Tampa Bay, Game 7. I remember that game. It was like 3-1. So that's one of those where I can actually kind of take it. Like I'm still sad they didn't make it, but like it's not like they laid an egg. I just don't want my teams to lay an egg. Like, you know, you're going to lose. You're going to get to the end, and sometimes you're going to lose. But if you lose, I don't want you to just crap out. So they got to Game 7 of an ALCS and lost by 2 runs at the very end of the game in a road game. Like, that's not, to me, like the devastating choke of all time. Like, that's just how it goes sometimes. What gets me is when a team makes it to, like, the end and they get, like, swept or something. Like, that pisses me off. Like, if you're going to lose, at least go down fighting. And the 2008 Red Sox went down fighting. That's why I at least give them credit for that. Hitting sucked. The pitching sucked. Pitch hitters sucked. That would be me. Yeah, because everybody, like, analyzes this stuff like, oh, they need another leadoff hitter. Oh, you know, they didn't produce with, like, runners on base. That's my favorite thing is, like, oh, the Red Sox would have scored, like, 10 runs if they got, like, hits with runners in scoring position. Well, they didn't. Like, they suck. Like, I can't look at the... You know, like, oh, in this situation, you know, the hitter gets a hit like 50% of the time. Well, they didn't this time, so that's all I care about. Like, you know, you can analyze it until you're blue in the face, but sometimes you just suck. Sometimes, you know, for whatever reason, you just suck. Some of the things they ask, like, were you disappointed with this game? Yeah, we lost 10-0. Of course I was disappointed with this game. Like, the questions, even when they win, it's like, oh, did you think you'd win? No, I thought we would lose. I thought we would lose 20-0. I'm glad we won. Like, some questions people ask. But anyway, it's probably going to be my last game of Mario Kart. It's been fun talking a little Red Sox with you, even though I'm finding myself getting increasingly bad. Oh, I would be fired so fast. You know who I'm like? I'm like Terry Collins with the Mets. When Terry Collins managed the Mets, he was like, he actually got into a World Series one year, but like he was like throwing chairs. He was like, after games, he'd be like, our bullpen was terrible. We need to be better than that. Like, he was an old school, you know, cranky old guy manager. That would be me. And, you know, he didn't last too long, even though he made it to a World Series. Terry Collins, I think, got fired a year or two later. But, like, yeah, that would be me. Or even Bobby Valentine to a lesser degree, because Bobby Valentine made fun of his own players. He'd be like, you know, nice inning, you know, if they made a lot of errors. And I'm not going to sit here and accept moral victories. That's just not my thing in anything I do. Like, I'm not like, oh, well, I kind of sucked, but I didn't suck as much as I thought. Like, no, if I sucked, I sucked. Like, I'm not going to paint some better picture and, you know, give everybody a hug. Like, that's just not me. Go to, like, Joe Madden if you want that. We did stuff. We showed up to the field. We played a game. Lordy, lordy. But yeah, you're pretty passionate about your Royals, and I'm pretty passionate about my games. Particularly games of the retro variety. But yeah, like I was saying, speaking of retro games, we got Retromania 45 coming tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Can't wait for it. Hope to see you all there, along with my friend John Lee, who will be joining me for a special two-player edition. He may be the most non-body ever said. No, no, and in fact, not only that, the 2012 Red Sox had a record above 500 at the trade deadline before they traded away their best players, and then they sucked, which obviously, like, yeah, they traded Adrian Gonzalez, Josh Beckett. They traded like the few good players they had, and then they're like, whatever. Oh no, I mean Bobby Valentine's a complete nutcase, but I enjoy him. Like he got results even with the Mets. Like he got results everywhere he went. He might not have won a World Series, but he wasn't a terrible manager. But anyway, Randy, good to see you again for the last minute of this stream. Yeah, we'll see you guys tomorrow, hopefully. Thanks again for chatting with me here today. I have not tried that new spicy Mountain Dew, but hopefully you'll try out some new spicy Retromania tomorrow at 1 p.m. As always, this is Bobby Gaines, otherwise known as Chaos Blur, signing out. Stay chaotic and blur out. This is Bobby Gaines here, otherwise known as Chaos Blur, and if you love retro gaming as much as I do, then you'll love my new 2022 series, Retromania. Retromania looks to be a series of engaging and interactive streams in which you, the viewers, get to pick what I play next.